So, are there any details you can give us on the new trails that are coming to Horseshoe?
Um, yeah, the new one, um, is gonna be more of like a
Let's go! All right, you got it? Yeah!
Hello, everybody. Sebastian here, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Biker Talk. Today, I'm joined with Alex, as always. Hey, Alex.
Hello.
So today we are joined with Matt and Hannah from Horseshoe Bike Park. Hello, guys.
There we go.
hey, how's it going, guys?
Not bad. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having
We are
us.
glad to have. No
Yeah,
problem. We're glad to have you guys on. It's gonna be a good time.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess I'll go first. Just to introduce yourselves, who are you guys and what do you guys do at Horseshoe?
Matt Konings, the Parks and Events Manager here at Horseshoe. Been here for 5 years now, and yeah, it's been a good ride, and everything's evolving, and we're super excited.
Cool. I'm Hannah Sims, so I'm the marketing coordinator at Horseshoe, and also kind of help out on the bike park event side of things. I've been there about a year and a half now, and yeah, super excited for all things bike this year.
Very good. That's nice. So I mean, I guess if we're talking bike for this year, Blue Mountain's done, I guess, for this season. Mountain biking. Are you guys
Mhm.
planning on like expanding or adding a couple more trails or anything at the park to kind of take the load that Blue Mountains had?
Yeah, so we definitely are expanding this year. We are going to do some rerouting of some trails on the existing standpoint. We want to make sure that add more flow, everything to that. On that other side of things, we're going to be adding for sure, hopefully, 1 to 2 new trails this year. We're going to see how we already have one routed out where the new trail is going to go. The second one is just planning stages at the moment, so really trying to figure that out. Just snow's in the way at the moment, but other than that, we're yeah, it's going to be a good year, and then just progression. We want to add in some other things, little progression park, making sure we have some rollers and drops for the kids to learn, especially in having the lessons in house now. And it's going to be good.
Yeah, so one of the few complaints I hear about Horseshoe when it comes from bikers is that you guys don't have a lot of like very difficult terrain compared to like when Blue Mountain was open. Do you guys plan to try to add a bit more or a couple more trails that are more difficult for those highest level riders that will be trying to come to Horseshoe?
We're going to try. The main focus right now is adding flow, progression, fun here at the resort. We look at it as a fun family resort, another activity here.
Mhm.
We are all in on the biking side of things. Is definitely our main focus right now. In the summertime, we really want to progress it. We want to make sure that everybody here is going to have a fun time, and it's definitely we're going to look at where we can add in the odds things here and there on the black trails to make them a little more difficult. But given the terrain, given the soil that we have here, it's a little bit more difficult to do that type of stuff. Where a lot of people normally would see like a shale rock sections and other forest areas, and that's where Blue really progressed on that side of things because of the clay over there, and they had a lot of shale rock and stuff like that. But for us, it's a lot more of a sand dirt soil, and with that being said, we're able to just do the things that we can do with the dirt that's given to us.
So, you guys are now hosting Sea Otter. How are you planning to, like set that up and whatnot?
Yeah, we are super excited to be hosting Sea Otter this year. We've got such an awesome little cycling hub here in Horseshoe Valley, and all areas between downhill, cross country, road, gravel. So I think it's going to be a really good fit for us. For anyone that was there for the Triple Showdown race we had at the end of the season last year, we're going to be kind of incorporating that into Sea Otter. So we're still going to run our same like downhill race, dual slalom, those events. So I think that's going to be a really cool environment. And then just continuing to expand on that expo because that's a super core part of Sea Otter is being able to bring different brands and people in the bike industry together to learn about what's coming, demo new bikes. So we've got tons of space here at Horseshoe, so we're gonna expand on that. And yeah, no, we're super pumped to keep building on everything and have Sea Otter here.
So, what went into that decision to have Sea Otter hosted there? Did you reach out to them, or was it a thing after Blue Mountain closed that they were looking for a new host, or how did that come to be?
Yeah, it's we've kind of been chatting with them for a little bit. I think they probably had a bit of a heads up that Blue, I mean, they kind of kept pushing the decision back. So, yeah, we kind of just kept talking to see what the season was going to look like. And then once there was the final word on Blue and they were looking for a new location, Horseshoe seemed like a really good fit with tons of awesome riding. And it's definitely kind of a small venue, which I think will be really nice. Like everything's so close together. Um, that yeah, we're all super excited to partner together this year.
Yeah, that sounds very exciting to do, especially such a big event like Sea Otter. It's going to be nice to have it there. It's going to be good for Horseshoe in general.
For sure.
So that being said, given that Blue Mountain's gone and whatnot, and like last year, you could get some pretty busy days there. How are you guys going to like? Do you guys feel that the busy days are going to be even worse now?
Um, no, I think we with the things that we've implemented into this year, one big thing was adding 5 additional carriers to the chairs. So instead of before it was like ride or the bikes, rider, bikes. Now it's going to go bikes, rider, bikes, rider. So we've added the 5 carriers. So that's going to increase the uphill capacity there. And then we add the longer hours into the resort. So our spring and fall hours are going to be 10 to 7, and then summer's 10 till 8. Um, with that being said, we're going to definitely see it be spread out. The ridership's going to definitely spread out throughout the day, which is, you're probably going to still see some longer lines, especially on weekends. But at the end of the day, we're going to definitely see a little bit shorter lines. We're going to see the ridership, different styles of riders coming throughout the day, where you're going to have probably more so the family that are going to come throughout the day, like the morning till early afternoon, and then you might see the core guys come out afternoon, evening, or the guys working in the shops. That's the other part that's amazing now is that people are able to come here after a good day or after work and be able to come ride, and I think that's going to be a very positive thing for us.
I like that extra hours now because before it'd be like, oh well, they're closing, and what the hours were 3 last year, right?
Till
4.
it was till 5, but it died off usually around like 4 o'clock. But
Okay.
yeah, like when you're
Because
trying.
sometimes I was a little too early, and like if we like when we leave, we come sometimes leave around 10ish to 2 hours noon, and then there's not much riding because then to get home before dark and do that drive and whatnot, it's going to be nice though for the extra hours.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
for
And
sure.
like, we looked at that as a positive thing. We know that, you're trying to tell people from either coming up from the GTA area saying, okay, well, if you're coming from Oakville way, you got sometimes heavy traffic on weekends. So even if you left at 9 o'clock in the morning, sometimes you're not getting here till later unless you take the 407 and, doing that. But we want to make sure that riders are going to feel like they're welcomed here at the end of the day and be able to ride longer, like be able to maybe sit down, have some dinner, and then go back out and do some laps after, and then you head on your way home. It's going to be positive, I think.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so you mentioned the 5 extra lift carriers, which sounds like that's going to really help the uphill capacity. But what are some other ways that you plan to deal with the larger crowds while also making sure that it's still gonna be COVID safe?
Um, so we're definitely going to look at is just the lift lines, making sure people are spread out, distance. In this winter, we even learned a lot more in terms of the COVID side of things on our lift lines and making sure everybody's spread out. Um, there might be the possibility where you might have to wear a mask at the same time, just so that we're able to have the three riders on a chair. But for to be able to wear a mask and make sure that riders are able to go up quicker and get more runs in the day, it's going to be good.
Hmm.
It'd definitely be worth, instead of waiting a lot longer times, to just throw a mask on, and then that way you can just get up a lot quicker.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I know that the marketing girls, they've definitely been pushing a lot of that for us and making sure that people are aware of it, which is good. And Hannah can touch bases on that as well.
Yeah, just another thing too on just more offering with busier with more riders. We're also hoping to expand on our cross country trails on the resort side. Usually everyone's got to go over to the Copeland, which often you can end up getting just totally lost out there if you don't know it. But yeah, we're gonna have some cross country trails on our side and a bit better, easier climb trail up to the top. So if people do want to like see the lines long and they're like, oh, I don't mind climbing a lap, we've got that other option this year too, instead of the that service road, which is so rough.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot better, because there's some guys that don't mind the climb. They just put him in the top gear and they're gone.
For sure.
So on the marketing side, how are you going to market Horseshoe this year? Are you going to market it now as like a
Big,
whole like mountain bikers weekend thing?
yeah, big question. um, yeah, no, it's awesome that everything on the bike side is growing so much, and we've been fairly lucky so far that it's, people just by word of mouth are telling their friends about Horseshoe, and it's just growing kind of naturally. But yeah, I think definitely we've just been able to increase our offerings, which helps. So like Matt mentioned earlier, we're going to do lessons in house this year, and we're bringing a bike camp to Horseshoe this summer. So that gives lots of other things to touch on and just help bring like different people to Horseshoe, and we've got stuff for all different levels, which is great. So you can kind of do it all.
And that the camps are going to be really nice for the younger riders. I'm not sure if like mountain biking is something they want to pursue or not. So it's going to be a good way to get them into the sport and whatnot.
Yeah, for
For
sure.
sure.
I actually
Yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I actually started out mountain biking from the mountain bike camp at Kelso, the Ways of the Wood camp, and that's how I started out. So I think that now that you guys are offering that, I think that's like super, super cool. Because I know like that's a fantastic like top way to get kids into mountain biking and get the next generation shredding.
Exactly. We already see so many young little kids out there, like even at our race series, the
Seeing a
U10
lot.
categories are just crushing it. So giving them that controlled space to keep learning and growing is going to be super key.
So what are some like other details about the camp for the parents that are watching this or are interested? Like what are some of the some what are some details that you can either of you guys can give about the camp and how it runs?
I'll let
Yeah,
Hannah
so
touch
it's
base.
yeah. um, we have had a horseshoe summer camp in the past, but this is the first year we're shifting it to be like completely bike focused. So the majority of the day is going to be spent on the bike. Kids are going to get a chance to do some learn skills on cross country trails and on the downhill trails. There's going to be a mix of sort of like set instructional skill blocks and then opportunities to just hit the trails with the instructors and take all those skills to a trail environment and keep progressing in that way as well. And then we also, like, we're kind of an adventure resort. So when you're not on the bike, there's like a wakeboarding cable, the lake for paddleboarding. So they will get a couple chances to do some of those other fun things too.
It's actually cool that you're gonna add in some of the other sport, like things that you have to offer at the resort for the people there, just so they don't get completely tired. Because I know some younger children, when you start, put them on a bike all day, sometimes they'll get bored of it and tired of it. So it'd be cool to like incorporate the other exciting things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
good.
Go ahead, Matt.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, no, it's a good side of things. So, especially with the restrictions of travels and everything, and with kids maybe might usually go to a different style of camp. They might go to the Woodwards and everything like that. For them to come and be able to do the mountain biking here is just going to be another stage for them to learn and grow the sport. Especially with we see a lot of the fathers that now have their kids that are pursuing biking, but when dad tries to teach them how to ride the bike, they want to ignore it. They want to learn from like somebody like an instructor or a pro or stuff like that, and they'll learn from them, and this is going to be a good spot for them to grow with it.
So that's gonna be a day camp, right? From like morning to like early, late afternoon type of thing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That sounds awesome. What's the age limit on that camp? I think Sebastian and I might want to sign up. Is there an age limit?
It's actually been pretty funny. We have put an age limit. I think we got 6 to 13. But we've
Oh, your
had
category.
a lot of comments from the parents saying, "Oh, is there an adult version?" So we might have to work in an adult camp or something at some point.
Yeah.
That'd be cool because there's a lot of people like older people that just want to hop on the bike and learn the fundamentals and whatnot because they never, I guess, had a chance growing up doing it or whatnot. So it'd be cool to give them the roots and the basics of mountain biking.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there has been thoughts of maybe doing a like a adult one on a weekend or something, having a visiting pro. We've focused on doing the women's progression session with mini adventures in Charlotte Batty. So that's been kind of growing here a little bit with the girls side of things, just to get them more into the downhill side. But we do see a lot of guys asking that question, and if we were able to focus maybe something on that and just seeing who that pro would be coming out for the weekend and marketing it, and it'd be I think a good step also in our bike park.
For sure, yeah.
So, winding back to the beginning of 2020, when all this COVID stuff started up, everyone was shutting down, people were closing. Blue Mountain had announced that, like, oh, we're not opening this season or whatever. People were mad, but you guys stayed open. So, what went into that decision to keep the bike park open and to still try to make it work?
Hannah, me, you, what?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we just kind of all spring, like, we still remained hopeful that we were going to be able to open. Um, yeah, I don't know if we necessarily had as much of like a set decision on open or close. We were just sort of waiting for that green light from the government and regulations saying that we could open. So in house, we were just all kind of preparing and brainstorming our own ways of how we would be able to open. And once we got that green light, we just took whatever guidelines they provided, and yeah, just our own brainstorming to make everything work as safely as possible. And then yeah, we just kind of had to know how to keep adapting. So we opened, and I think each weekend for the first little bit was a learning experience, and we just kind of kept making things work until we hit a good point where we sort of dialed our daily operations, and people were just so excited to be able to come out and ride, which I think gave us even more motivation to keep wanting to make it work and not have to shut down.
Yeah, that's incredible that you guys were able to adapt to the situation that was going on and be able to run. Which I mean, last year seemed like a successful year, and we went. It was quite busy. Lots of people there. I have a lot of friends that went a lot last year, and they said it was pretty busy. So it's good that you guys were still able to maintain the amount of people coming and riding day to day,
Yeah.
Yeah,
especially in the middle and beginning of a pandemic.
yeah, no, it's definitely it was a challenge. Like we definitely saw the advantage of it. Going just seeing what a busy day was the year before, from it being to a busy day was 50 riders to last year a busy day was 120 riders. Like who would have thought? But with the bike industry being booming last year and people just want to get out and do any type of riding, they're going to go. So it's beneficial for sure for us to make that step and make the call to keep it going. And here we are, 2021.
Yeah, kind of crazy to have
Yeah.
had one of our best years during a pandemic, but we're excited and gonna keep rolling with it.
Yeah, we're glad to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Especially now that you guys are the only lift access. I have a feeling this year is going to be very, very good.
Yeah, it's going to be another good year, I think, for just being a lift access park for sure.
Yeah.
We do know that there's other bike parks out there. People are going to definitely travel to the East Coast. They're going to go to Quebec. They're going to go, maybe do the trips out west. But at the end of the day, for in Ontario, we're excited. We want to make sure that it's going to keep growing here, and just keep the positive on what people do here at Horseshoe. So.
hmm Now that you guys are the only lift access bike park in Ontario, do you guys feel like a pressure now that you have the entire downhill Ontario mountain bike community, like all eyes are on you to see what you guys do? Do you feel a pressure about from that?
Um, like, yeah, no, in terms of we know what people want. We know they want to see the bigger jumps. They want to see drops, like skinnies, like all those tech stuff type of things. But at the end of the day, a lot of people don't realize that in this business, that it's like, okay, we build bigger, it doesn't help the youth. They don't learn to grow to the sport. We want to make sure that they're going to have fun, they're going to be
hmm
enjoying this sport. As myself, as a rider for over, it's like 25 years of riding bikes, it's you grow up, you're going to build your stuff at like your local hill. You go to destinations for a reason, to go have fun with your friends and be able to do that. And we just want to make sure, like, when people go Horseshoe, they're going to have a fun time. You can ride the green trails as fast. You're going to have a good time, but people are there to learn on that. But then you can progress on your blues and blacks here. It's not going to be death gripping all the way through the trails. And
hmm
I think at the end of the day, that's the mindset we're kind of going with here, is just the progression of the sport. And then when people go to travel other bike parks, you're going to learn something. Basically, what I've done, in other bike parks, like I'll show up and like see, oh, okay, like this is what they do here. It's a little bit different, and but look at their train, look at their vertical, all that type of stuff. It's put in all different ways.
Yeah, and it's hard to get some of that like downhill sketchy stuff, especially in Ontario because we're relatively flat. But
Hmm.
like at Horseshoe, I think, there's some spots at Horseshoe where it's at that level where it's like it's difficult that even like the best riders can still go and shred on and have fun.
Yeah, definitely. And we saw that last year. We saw a huge amount of different styles of riders coming out. We saw the true downhill guys coming with their full suspension, to even just the XC guys. Seeing guys from hardwood coming out and having a great time on their hardtails. Like, you just see the different styles of riders coming here. And then even from me being, realistically, I grew up riding BMX, and like that was my whole life. And then it wasn't until, all right, about 7 years ago, I started riding a mountain bike. But even the progression of me getting into a mountain bike, it was a dirt jumper first, riding downhill. Then I went to a slope bike, and now I'm on a full suspension bike doing XC rides. It's different, and then I learn even more and more each year of like, okay, well, like, what are the riders wanting? Okay, here's my vision, but here's what everybody else's vision is well, and we take that all into consideration of what we do here.
Yeah.
So this is a question for both of you. What kind of riding do you guys like to do? Or what type of riders are you? And what do you ride?
Hannah, you go first.
Me start. Okay. I started in an XC racing background, so I actually grew up like racing in the hardwood program. And then I've kind of touched on a bit of everything, bit of road racing, bit of gravel, and then a bit of downhill at Horseshoe last summer. So I do a little bit of everything. Probably cross country mountain biking's my main focus. Um, well, is there another question on that?
Oh, what do you ride?
Oh,
Like what?
so I ride a Juliana Furtado is my kind of fun trail bike, and then I'm on a Santa Cruz Blur is going to be my XC more race bike.
Very nice.
Me. Okay, so I grew up riding BMX my pretty much my whole life. Started off from building dirt jumps, starting BMX racing to park riding. That's was pretty much everything up till not until I guess till I was 27. I want to say 27, 28 is when I started riding mountain bikes, and it was at Blue. When I started working on the trail crew there and helping out on things there, and then to now it's ride a little bit of everything. I'll go do some XC rides. I'll do and ride downhill. So it's a little bit different. The bikes I ride is for mountain biking. I have a James Hardline C3 is what started riding last year. And then, just I don't know if you care about the BMX side of things, but on BMX side of things, I ride cult bikes. So I just built them all up and just do that. So it's fun.
Nice, nice. Yeah, BMXing is fun as well. Used to be into that, but then I just fell for mountain biking.
Hey, I think I went for the opposite. so, but I enjoy both of them very much, and it's definitely shown a broad style of riding to what I'm doing nowadays. So,
hmm And as long as you're riding, you're having a good time.
mhm.
Yeah, I have to ask about Horseshoe and its trail names. You got Trail 1, Trail 2, Trail 3. So I just gotta ask, just will those ever be changed to something possibly more creative, like an actual name on not to diss on Trail 1 and Trail 2 and Trail 3, but I kind of am dissing on Trail 1 and 2 and 3. Um,
Yeah, I agree with that. Like when you got a
Hey,
name, you can remember the trail some more.
yeah. So I
Good
agree with you
news.
guys on that. So when I started, when built Going Green, that was kind of the start of trail names. So Going Green Little Ripper started last year. And then this winter we're kind of talking about, we're like, okay, you know what? We're in year 5 now of downhill here at Horseshoe. Let's start naming the trails. So we do have some things in mind. But yeah, so trail names for sure, because at the end of the day, we as riders, you go somewhere, you remember that trail name, not a number. You're not going to be like, oh yeah, like you're the guys at the top being like, let's go rip Trail 4, but put a name to that makes it a little bit better.
well, I'm glad to hear you guys are working on that because as good as a trail is, if you have a really good trail like you guys have there, you got to have a good name to go along with that trail.
For
So
sure.
Makes it a
And
lot more memorable.
yeah, definitely. And we're coming out soon. We're gonna recruit some help potentially for naming. So keep an eye on the bike park Instagram, and we're gonna put a thing out to get some inspiration from the riders for a couple of the trails.
that's good. Keeping the community involved with that. Uh,
Yeah.
that's good.
Keep it family friendly. That's all we say.
Yes,
I know
obviously.
some places got a little, they're a little interesting on their naming.
Yeah.
Possibly located in Toronto. But anyways, um, yeah, speaking on that, yeah, there's a huge age range of the people that ride at Horseshoe. I remember when I went there for the first time, there would be like you guys mentioned earlier, like the front of the line you would have like these guys that are like full on race downhill pros stuff like that, and behind them is like a 4-year-old girl with her dad on this like tiny little bike, just like how are you like just riding here, and it's so it's cool that you guys have a community that just can appeal to everyone, so it'd be exciting to see that continue to grow.
Yeah, no, the age range is definitely a biggest thing. A few years ago, I'm gonna say I think it was like 3 years ago, there was these two little boys, and they were on small like full suspension bikes, and I went up and met them, and I'm like asking how old they were, asking their dad, and just he's like 3 and 5, and I was just like I was blown away. But like the kids were able to ride the trails like fine, like they were had so much control, and the kids now, versus like what, let's back it up probably like 10 years ago. Kids now are able to learn on a run bike, then they go to like a 12-inch to a 14 to a 16. Like the bikes and the balance that the kids have nowadays is a lot more progressive than it was back then. And even to like when I was a kid, like I learned on a 20-inch bike. Nowadays kids aren't even touching a 20-inch bike till they're about like
Yeah.
14. So it's kind of crazy to think of that, like where the sport has become and the progression. And I'm glad that we're able to do that here at Horseshoe, helping the progression of the kids becoming to mountain bikers.
Yeah, it's cool because with all like the new mountain bikes and all the new sizes and everything, it's like when I was younger, like 6, 7, 8, around there, is like you could pop your front wheel off the ground and you're considered the cool kid, or you could ride down a curb. And now it's like you got these 5-year-olds shooting off doubles and just flying. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
It's like there's no time now to learn. Just
Yeah.
gotta know it.
Yeah, you can definitely get showed up by some little kids at Horseshoe.
Yep.
Yeah, I wish I started mountain biking earlier, but I remember I had a small little like 20-inch mech blue bike, and it was a really, really solid Kid's bike. It had great components and stuff on it. Like it obviously wasn't that much for like what it like compared to high-end mountain bikes that we ride now or people ride now, but yeah, when you're a kid, you just like hit everything. You don't even think about your bike or how good it is and stuff like that. So yeah. It's great to see that.
Yeah, definitely. If you learn some of that stuff when you're little, you just never forget it. And when you hit that no fear zone, it's good when you learn things at that time.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So, what are your guys' favorite trails at Horseshoe? What's your favorite one?
See, here's my thing. I don't. I just don't have a favorite one. You know,
Because you can't remember which one is trail
no.
number.
So the jumper in me, like the inner slopes out kid in me, and everything. I love riding Trail 4 just because I love doing tricks. Trail 3 to just go fast and the flow of it, and then Trail 8. Yeah, it's like kind of it's got wide open flowy, has some jumps, it's got some tight turns. Um, so I don't know. Those are like my top three. I can't ever pinpoint to one trail. Um, so yeah, those are like my top three.
What about you,
Mine
Hannah?
are literally the same. I feel like those are like my top three like rotations, the go-tos. At least every time I ride, I hit one of those.
Yeah, I remember number 3 when we went there. I remember that was a super flowy trail. I liked how that
Can't
was definitely
remember which
it
one
was a
is
well
which.
built it was a well built one.
Thanks.
So who does all the trail building? What's that team looking like for the people that are building it?
So I lead the builds. I will go like when we rent the machines and everything. We look at the trail, look at what the layout will be of the trail, where we see it going up, down, all that. But then I also have a couple of my crew guys that are also mountain bikers that, have their input as well. Because, at the same time, there might be where my vision is, but then their vision also should be important as well. Because if it's just always going to be one person's opinion on it just, it will go the same way. And, what my riding style is versus what your guys' riding style versus Hannah's, like, it's just opening up the book of just seeing where we can go with each trail and make it as fun as possible here. And, you're going to get some sections like, oh, okay, like something I didn't even think about that somebody else didn't, be like, hey, let's do this. And it works even better. So, always those considerations when you're looking at a trail building, it's like you focus on, what style trail you're building, what color, um, and just go with the flow of it.
Yeah, it's good that you take input from everyone, because if one person just makes all the decision, all the trails will be the same. There won't be much differences between each trail.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And I learned that from a few years ago of, all these trails here when Horseshoe had downhill here, I pretty much inherited all these trails that were ending, halfway up the hill. And I'm like, okay, like where do I go with this? And it's like me and two other guys at the time, and it's like, where do we go and how do we do this? And um, how do we make Horseshoe on the map? People didn't even know Horseshoe had even downhill. Now it's like people know we have downhill.
Yeah, you guys have definitely really grown in the last couple of years. I remember Sebastian and I, we first found out about you guys um, at the 2020 bike show
Okay.
when we went there and we saw your booth. And actually, completely contrasting to Blue Mountain's booth, where they were just trying to get us to buy their seasons pass. You guys were very like talkative and nice and stuff like that, and like you left us with like a super good impression of your place. I remember talking about that when we made our video about it. So, a question for Hannah, like, what's the main marketing focus? Like, what's the main focus for the marketing team to promote?
Yeah, it's I guess kind of hard to pick one main focus because we definitely have, like we've talked about, such a wide range. That's sort of our audience. Like you definitely have your more hardcore bikers, and then we're definitely a location where people that are completely new to biking can come and try it out. So we probably kind of split things between those two categories, and yeah, just focus on like the variety of riding for both of those kind of categories, and yeah, just kind of offering something for everybody.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Um, I know a lot of people were asking, now that you guys are the only lift access, will cost for a day pass going up, or is it going to be the same as it was last year?
It will go up a little bit, kind of naturally. Each year, prices kind of go up as expenses go up for us.
Yeah.
But as of right now, like we're not trying to make any like crazy jumps. I think it's kind of nice that we're not at a ridiculous price point that people can come out and try it for a day, and we want to kind of keep that mindset going forward this year. Um, so yeah, it'll prices I think are gonna go up a little bit, but just kind of covering as expenses go up.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing when we were looking into Horseshoe and stuff like that, like you guys, your seasons pass would be less than like a day at Blue. And like you could look at it, oh well, like Blue, they have the extra elevation, they've kind of got a bit more trails than you guys. And most of the things that they have are things that you guys can't even really do anything about because you can't really like add 100 meters onto the top of Horseshoe or anything like that to make it bigger. You're limited in the space you can work with. But I think you guys have done a good job being able to use the space you have to really maximize it, put in some solid downhill trails. So you guys have definitely done a good job on that.
Thanks.
Yeah, we don't have anywhere to go up, but we definitely still have lots of space to build across and squeeze some more trails in.
Yeah.
So, how often do you guys ride at Horseshoe?
Uh, Almost like every day in the summer. If
Oh,
Really?
my bike is here, first thing in the morning last year, like I said, last year, me going to that full suspension bike, I would actually go for like a cobra ride in the morning before the guys got here at work just to get a little exercise into me. And then, after work, maybe do a couple laps if I wasn't off to down to the city or anything like that. But, just try to be on my bike almost every day is usually my main focus.
That sounds
Yeah,
great.
yeah, I'm pretty much riding every day and usually try to get out for a couple laps most days when I'm at work. Yeah, get some social media coverage is always a good excuse to get out and do a few laps on the trails during the day. And I'm lucky that I live pretty close. I just live up near the top of the hill, so I can always make my commute to work rip down Trail 8, which is kind of fun too.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
what's it like working at the like a bike resort?
It's a
It's
pretty fun
good.
gig.
Like,
Go ahead,
Like
Matt.
you're around mountain biking, what you love all day long. Sounds pretty cool.
yeah, no, definitely working at resorts, um, it's great. We're able to be passionate about what we love to do and be able that's our job. And at the end of the day, you look at it as a job, it has the perks as well. So if we're able to get out and do some laps at the end of the day after a busy day, planning and everything, or working on the trails, able to just get out, do a few laps, or even go for a nice little XC ride, it's wonderful.
Yeah. So, are there any details you can give us on the new trails that are coming to Horseshoe?
Um, yeah, the new one, it's going to be more of like another blue flow trail. Try to have a little bit of more jump, like some jumps, almost a little bit more open of an 8, with some switchbacks and everything like that. And then the other trail, definitely going to try to figure out the black side of things with it. Maybe it might be a little more hand built of a trail, not machine built. Um, and then the additions to a couple of other trails like Trail 9, it's going to get a full rehaul top to bottom. So it's going to open it up as a good green trail. So we're going greens out in the open. It's going to be a machine built trail, but in the forest. So, when, dad's taking his little guys over, dad really likes riding 7 or 8, but, little Bobby's not there yet. He can go ride Trail 9 and you have a fun time. They both meet up at the bottom at the same time. They're, something that's going to be focused on everybody being able to have a good time, and where dad will feel safe with their kids.
Yeah. What would you say is the most important factor when you guys are planning or building a newest trail? What's like the number one thing you guys are thinking of?
Usually flow. Flow is like kind of one of the most key parts. We don't want to necessarily make it like super technical because we always could kind of go back and revisit a trail. That's kind of one of the nice things here about Horseshoe. The accessibility of where we can get in with a machine if we need to, or just go do some changes. The soil of this place actually makes it a little bit easier for us to be able to go do those changes and be able to work it if it's a hand dig. So it's like if we have to close the trail off for a day to make a more of an improvement after the fact that we've built a new trail, and there might be, okay, this didn't fully work out, let's go switch this up. We're able to do that where other places aren't able to do it as easy as where we are.
Um, hmm.
So you said you're gonna get that green trail, like, so that little Bobby or whatever can go off. Now I noticed there's not too many. You have the big jump trails with the doubles and whatnot, and then you got trails with no jumps at all. Is there gonna be something like in between that?
Yeah, that's kind of where the new trail is.
Yeah.
The blue one's going to kind of be so like trail 3. You got the low rollers. You can go fast and have fun on it. We used it as a race trail, and it worked out amazing. Kids love. Everybody can ride it nice and fast. They can ride it slow. They can have a great time on it. Trail 4 was already kind of the feature trail that when I started here, it had some features on it. We've definitely improved it a lot from where it was three, I don't know, let's go 2 years ago, from where 2 to 3 years ago where it was. We just keep adding to it to make it better. So the new blue trail will actually have a little bit more fun and float as well to it, where they can kind of learn some jumps. But even that being said, Little Ripper, I don't know if you guys were here when Little Ripper was built on the beginner hill, like off of Going Green. It's actually going to get rerouted into the forest a little bit and be able to have some little jumps, have some little drops so that they can learn. And that's going to be great for the camp, for the lessons, where we can bring people over there and show them the ropes of how to take a jump and how to take a drop and be able to do those things.
Oh, it's very cool. Yeah, because I noticed it's gonna be cool to have that like in between trail. Because I'm not much of a jumper; I'm more of a technical rider. So some of those doubles, it's like I won't even go and try and clear it because I'm like, no, this isn't my type of riding. It'd be cool to have something like in between that. You can work on the jumping, learn the fundamentals of jumping, and then be able to just fully just gap those. That's the goal for next summer. Well, this summer, gap some of those on that one trail.
Yeah. So, Hannah, if I
Yeah.
were to ask you if for those viewers that may not actually know about Horseshoe, if they don't, how can you sell Horseshoe to get them to go to Horseshoe in like a couple sentences?
All right.
Like a job
Well,
interview.
yeah. Well, I think this year we're bringing lots of cool new things. So we've got a bit of everything. Like we got our race series coming, new trails. Like Matt said already, like progressions for each level, extended hours, and I think kind of just a good vibe at Horseshoe with the patio being right there. That whether you're a parent and a kid, you can hang out on the patio and see your kid doing laps, or you and your buddies can grab a beer after and then head out and hit the trails again. So I think there's just a good community vibe at Horseshoe, which is I think has brought a lot of people over there.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
really nice to have the. Oh, go ahead, Alex.
Uh, yeah, so you mentioned the races. I actually forgot about that. How does the racing work at Horseshoe?
Yeah, so last year was kind of our first year introducing the racing. Um, After we figured again in a pandemic, which seems like a bit of a weird year to start, but after we dialed in our sort of daily operations, we kind of were like, all right, what else can we do within these guidelines? And luckily, downhill racing was fairly COVID friendly with the individual start. So we, yeah, started off the weekly series this year or last year, and it just went so much better than we ever expected. I don't think we pictured seeing the numbers we did. The first week, I think we had 60 something riders, and we were probably picturing like maybe 30, 40. And then by the second week, we had to actually put a cap on it because we were getting so many people. But yeah, it was just like a pretty chill race series, just like a good community event where anybody could come out and get a bit of that racing experience in a weird season. So we're bringing it back again this year, which will be really sweet.
What
So
day
what
are
if
those held on?
So we're
When
gonna
are the
run on
races held?
Wednesdays again.
are there any requirements to join the racing, or like what's the costs associated with it?
Last year, what did we do, Matt? I think it was $25 for an
25 we
entry.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you
25 for the
can
end. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, you can either do just like show up and race like one night of the series. You can do as many as you want, or we had a full series registration as well. And yeah, it was best of two runs, and we mixed up the courses each week. So I think we're gonna do something similar again this year. Yeah, just kind of getting a variety of all the horseshoe trails.
That's really
That's
cool.
cool. Might have to head out there for a race, Alex.
Yeah, see who's the
Yeah.
fastest presenter.
Definitely.
You got more experience on your new bike.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Well, I think this is a decent place to start wrapping it up. If you guys are all good with that.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for coming on. We really enjoyed talking to you guys. You guys got a good thing going on at Horseshoe, and I think you guys are only gonna grow even more than last year, this year. So it'd be cool to see what you guys. I'm gonna be looking out to see those new trail names, so I don't have to do the whole 1-9 thing to try to remember what trails I like. So,
Start brainstorming.
but other than that, we really enjoyed having you guys on. So thank you so much, Horseshoe, for coming on. To our viewers, thank you so much for watching. You can catch these podcasts. You can listen to them on all listening platforms down in the description. Join our Discord. That will also be down in our description, as well as the link to the Horseshoe website. I think your early bird pricing's over, right? For the season's passes?
Yeah.
Yes.
But but you can still get a normal price season's pass, and it's still pretty. I think it's still a pretty decent price to be able to just go there whenever you want and have full access. So I think that's pretty good. So follow us on Instagram if you haven't already. Like the video, subscribe if you haven't. Comment down below when you guys are gonna go to Horseshoe and what you think of it. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. See ya.